Keep it going.
Hi everybody, this is Robert Ginyard, and I hope this message finds you in good health and great spirits. It is Friday, and I am happy to be here with a good friend, Larry Poncho Brown. I am always enlightened every time that I talk with Larry. Poncho. Every time that I talk to Poncho, we learn from each other, we grow, we cry a little bit, shed some tears about our entrepreneurship
And we laugh.
And we laugh. Yes, we do. But I'm here with Poncho today. We're talking about one of his latest ventures. He published his book.
Yes.
And that was one of his dreams. And of course, I am Mr. Dibby Dibby, dream it, believe it, do it, be it. And so I wanted to talk to Poncho a little bit about the book and about his dreams and how he went about doing it. So, Poncho, the book is done. That's a dream that you can check off.
Yes.
Tell me what went through, what was going on through that process about making that dream come true.
All right, it really starts 25 years ago when me and some other major artists were discussing the prospect of documenting what we were doing. It's that simple.
Okay.
I came through an art revolution between 1985 and 2005 that was undocumented. A major art revolution that happened all over the country as a result of the Cosby era, and people having work on a show, and then people putting art on their walls and bringing the art home. So we never documented that. And I kept saying, man, I really want to do a book of my work, but I got in my own head. I started doubting myself, doubting my worth, doubting my contribution, actually, because I was like, well, I'm still in my 40s. How can I do a book about my life? Then I got to 50, and it was like, I'm still 50, but my masters are really considered 70. So I'm not really ready yet. Then I got to the point where I was almost 60, and I was like, wait a minute. Well, my math is getting screwed up. I'm almost 60, and I got 40 years in the business. How much longer are you going to wait to do this?
Yeah.
Then there's a legacy piece that happens too. So I decided to go ahead and embark on doing this book, which is really an overview of my 40 years of being in the art business, and also giving, in my words, an outline of my success in the arts and my trials and tribulations in the arts. And I thought that the timing couldn't be better. If I look at my market, there are not many artists that are doing books about their work or about their history.
Okay.
I believe that everybody has a story. And we're in a storytelling phase of everything right now. If you look at what's happening in music, if you look at what's happening in the movies, TV, you're now beginning to hear our narratives come out in a way that never came out before. So I figured it would be the greatest time for me to release my book.
Well, and you're talking about stories. And again, you mentioned about you've had plenty of dreams. But what was it like, Poncho, that you were able to, because I know you have a board in your studio where you have all your dreams up on the wall.
Yep.
But tell me about that experience to be able to check that box off and say, hey, I did this.
You know what? I got so tired of that system of it's on my goal board, I checked it.
Yeah.
It's on my goal board, I checked it. Oh, there's a couple of things I didn't get. Disregard those. Only focus on the ones that I checked.
Yeah.
I got tired of that. So it's not checked because the project is done. It's checked when you've completed your task. I ordered 2,000 books. I'm about 600 in. So I can't really put a check yet.
Yeah. Well, no, I would disagree
I'm giving
with you
it a chance to manifest and get in people's hands.
Yeah.
There's some opportunities that are coming along the lines because I did release the book. But this is a personal standard.
Yes.
So,
I was going to say. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times when you and I talk, we have to keep each other in check on our personal goals versus the bigger goal, because I think we underrate ourselves in what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So that's me talking when I say it's not checkable until I get to X. But you have to be able to look at your goals from the time you come up with your idea to the time you implement it to the time it comes to fruition, and then look at what happens after that point, because it doesn't end when it comes to fruition.
Yeah.
There's still another chapter of it.
Right.
And I don't think we look at the whole picture.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And I'm glad you clarified that because, you and I kind of hold ourselves to a different standard. We check it off, but then it's like, we still have to reach certain milestones before we can really check it and then erase it off the board. But I think, you took that extra step to actually finish it and get it done. And I think so many people just, they have these reservations and these hesitations about following through on their dream. And so that, again, one of the reasons why I always like talking to you.
You see my face, man, ready to explode because I got so much to say on that.
So say it.
An idea is nothing. An idea is energy, unmanifested energy. Yes, you thought about it, but it hasn't been manifested.
Yeah.
So unless you drew it out, sketched it out, prototyped it, it's still not happening. So for me, I'm an idea person. I'm in the idea business.
Yeah.
It still takes a while to birth something. We don't understand that as guys. We don't understand birthing nothing. It's like having a baby and trying to keep it in the third trimester. It don't work that way. You got to go through the whole process.
Yes.
And then you got to watch that thing grow up. You got to give them what they need up till they're at a point where they can sustain themselves. And even though I'm not a female, I think about each one of my creative ideas in that way.
Yeah.
You know, and until you do it that way, you're only half-assing it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
You know, because guys, we know what we can do and what we can't do. We know, and we will often get involved. I can't tell you. I mean, I know I'm missing my sentences, but that's how passionate I'm about it. I can't tell you how many times I say, okay, I'm going to come up with a catalog. I'm going to introduce the catalog to my clients. Boom, free, really good idea.
Yeah.
All right, so I went and got my team together. We got the catalog done. Oh, fantastic. Put a check. Okay, we're going to get these things ready. This was before the advent of self-adhesive stamps and the other stuff. So we had to put the label, we had to put the stamp,
right.
We had to put it in the envelope, we had to seal it. And then I still never mailed them out.
Now why?
That's where the self-doubt comes in. Okay. That's where getting distracted and moving energies into something else comes in. There's a multitude of reasons why we get to a certain point of development in our projects. But now that I understand, can't leave it in the third trimester, I'm more complete in how I do my ideas now. And I know some people, you got that person that come to you always giving an idea. You know what you should do? You should do this. And I got this idea. And they just go rant and rave on and on about how much their ideas, just to hear themselves talk or to validate them. Shut up. You don't know what it's like to birth nothing.
Yeah.
Unless you're the person that I know has gone through that process, I'm probably going to take it with a grain of salt because we got enough white noise around us.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
So like you've been writing a book for a while.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
And hearing you tell me what stage you were in your book helped me get off my behind for my book.
Well, you know, and I think that's with, you know, particularly entrepreneurs or idea people, you need to find your tribe. Of folks who can support you. And you and I have had exchanges where, you know, you may say, Robert, I need you to get this taken care of. You need to do this and that. And we go back and forth. And after we hang up, we think to ourselves, Poncho was right. Or you may say Robert was right. And we're able to focus and get our energy back
But if you
together.
don't have the accountability all the way through, then it's just, then y'all just hanging. Y'all just partying.
Yeah.
To me, I have friends that when we sit down, we talk, we all are going to pick up and we're going to come up with a resolution.
Yeah.
We're not just going to talk about event, complain, moan and groan, and then leave it. I'm trying to make sure that I'm circled with people that aren't that way because in too many facets of my life, I allowed that to be the situation. And I felt like I was making progress because I had a person of like mind and we talked about it, but it never got to fruition. So what is it? It's still nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm trying to get out of that.
Okay.
And now that I'm approaching 6.0, you know, my big brother here, he is already 6.0.
I just turned 60.
So that's the conversation now is that what legacy pieces are we putting in place and what habits are we going to shed in this next phase of even building our dreams?
Yeah.
Because your dreams got a lot of components to it.
Now, talk to me about a little bit of those components.
First of all, I think that when we come up with an idea, we assume that it's our intelligence that did it. Hell no. I believe that the universe, the creator, whatever word you want to use, has planted that seed in you.
Yes.
And then you're a vessel. You're supposed to take that seed and run with it.
Yeah.
What you do with it is up to you. And trust and believe, I have had many seeds that I've let pass through my system into the toilet. Now I'm about manifesting my seeds a little better than I was before. I'm able to listen to when things are coming my way and how I'm supposed to react, because there's been plenty of times things came my way and I wasn't emotionally or spiritually ready, so it still went down the tube. So sometimes you have opportunities coming all the time, and because you're not in the right mental place or space, it's a waste opportunity. I'm tired of wasting opportunities, and at 6.0, I don't have time to waste many opportunities.
Got it.
So, I mean, that's the biggest thing with me. I'm in the idea business, so I'm used to that. But oh yeah, I'm probably not irritated more than people that have ideas and don't manifest them, or have talents and don't manifest them.
Yeah.
Or looking for this answer and it's right in your face.
Well, see, but
how do you do that?
That's the thing. I think we often we discount ourselves because we think the answers are out somewhere. We've got to go on this long journey to find it. Now, I think sometimes to manifest our dreams, of course, we go through a journey to learn things along the way, to then come back to that dream and say, okay, this is how we do this. But I think sometimes we miss the message that's right there in front of us. And
what we do, if our dreams, we don't put the same energy in. You know, we don't. We'll look at how we work. You are disciplined. They'll say, oh, I'm not disciplined with my... No, you are. Because if you weren't, your job would have got rid of you a long time ago. So you've proven a certain level of discipline by showing up where you show up for whatever amount of years you go. But if you embark on doing one of your personal ideas or entrepreneurship, you have to be able to transfer that same energy into, if not more, when you say you want to be an entrepreneur. And I've never worked for anybody, but I've been around enough people to know how that dynamic works. I've always looked at people who had a full-time job and the comfort of having things managed who were scared to implement an idea.
Okay.
Now, why is that? You know, you're telling me your household is taken care of, your baby's taken care of, your wife is happy, or vice versa, your husband's happy, the kids grow, the dog is okay, but you can't come up with a thing that you've been that's in your gut.
Yeah.
That the universe planted as a seed, and you're scared to water it. Or you're going to let it do what I said earlier.
Yeah.
You're going to let it pass through.
Yeah.
So this is the time where we got to be open-minded. So many things have happened to put us in check. COVID made us slow down. It made the world slow down and take inventory. You're supposed to lay in your bed and you're supposed to go, where the hell am I now with all of this stuff? Now, either you made some life changes on how you're going to address your dreams and your visions, or you're going to go resume right back to where you were prior to it. And I'm hoping it's not the latter.
Yeah, well, no. Poncho, I got to tell you, I'm proud of you. The book, I know is going to do well, but I think I'm more proud of the fact that you had an idea, you saw it to fruition, and you made it come true.
I have done that so many times in my life, in my career, in the role that I play. But every now and then, everything is not the same.
Yeah.
So the book was different for me because, I was diagnosed with cancer. I didn't know how many years I had forward. Yeah. So I began to think short term, and I started looking at legacy stuff and what would be one of the firmest legacy pieces I could implant, and the book became it. And that was enough drive to make me see it to fruition. It's unfortunate that I couldn't have done that in my 50s and use the same drive to bring it to fruition. But sometimes you need certain catalysts to keep you focused on what the end result is. And all I ask people to do is look for wherever that is. We all have questions about what's next, but you have to be willing to create what's next.
Yeah.
And when I say creative, it's the idea, it's the birthing of the idea. And guess what? We're living in a time now where you can prototype anything. Cheaply.
Yes.
So if you're not willing to work your idea right down on paper, manifest it from paper into getting a prototype done that you can physically hold, photograph, show, then what are you doing?
And it's really never been more easier.
Oh no, man! When you did that bag back in the day,
Shusakam, yes,
Shusakam was like ahead of its time.
Yes, it was very much so. But you know what? For the longest time,
imagine if you had social networking.
Oh my gosh, yes. Back then?
No, imagine the equipment that we could not afford. You couldn't afford video. Right. You couldn't afford a good camera.
Right.
Phones wasn't around.
Right.
Imagine if Shusakam was around today.
Oh my
with the tools that are available today. And that's the part I get people to look at. It's like, hey, look, man, we're at a time now, if you want to fail, it's because you want to, because really, technically, we have so many advancements that there's some things we can do now that we could never do before.
So why aren't people doing that? So why aren't they doing it?
Fear of success.
Okay.
And fear of failure.
All right.
The two of those sentences go hand in hand.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned fear of success first rather than fear of failure. Very quickly, what is it about the fear of success?
People are moving at a particular pace that's comfortable for them, and they don't want to. They really don't want to fail. But to say you don't want to fail means you don't want to succeed.
Okay.
I don't think it works the other way around.
Okay, all right.
That's why I put it first.
Okay, all right.
So, no, I think first you got to trust. Somebody asked me in an interview recently and said, what would you tell your 30-year-old self?
That's one of the questions I always ask on the podcast. I love it. But
and
go ahead,
my
tell me.
response is I would trust my visions.
Yeah.
I would really trust my visions, because at 30 I didn't. It was an idea. I farted around with it. I looked at my pocket first as a measure of whether it could be done.
Yeah.
The money wasn't in my pocket, so it was over.
Yeah.
There's no more thinking, no more manifesting. I got to a point where it's like the idea don't have nothing to do with the money.
No.
You got resources, you got all kinds of other stuff. You got crowdfunding. I funded my whole book with the thing that would normally be looked at, what's in my pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all kinds of resources out there. You just got to be willing to really push your idea through to fruition, and to birth it, and to let it do what it's supposed to do after it's birthed.
Yeah.
So, Ginyard.
Yes.
I've been involved with quite a few of your DBDB events. I love the whole concept of what DBDB represents. Tell me really what launched this idea of DBDB and why you're so passionate about it.
Well, it was, and I appreciate you supporting DBDB and all that you do. But DBDB was the result of an unkept promise. When I was going through my cancer journey, my prostate cancer journey, I remember making a promise to God that when I finished my prostate cancer treatments, I said, God, I'm going to go for all of the dreams that I had deferred for so long, because I think that has had an impact on my health. And when I get through this journey, it's about checking off those boxes and saying, well done, you did this one, and on to the next one. And what happened, Poncho, is 2 years passed since I made that promise. And I was lying in bed one night, and I just couldn't sleep. And I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, God was having his way with me, saying, look, you know what? It's time to address that promise that you made to me. 2 years have passed, and you haven't done a thing.
And I challenge that, but, like you challenged me on my ideas. I think that was your conscience reminding you of that fulfillment.
Yeah, well, I'd say it's a combination, God and conscious.
Yeah. Well, see, you intended to do it.
I intended.
You may have strayed, you may have fell off the wagon, but it still was on your list of things you had to do in order to fulfill that promise.
And I think,
Do you think the Creator gives you a time frame on that promise?
I do. I do, because here's the reason, and then I'll go back to a little bit more of DBDB. I think that we are all, I look at life this way, Poncho. Let's say you have this body of water, and a drop comes down. Poof! And all of these circles start to, radiate from that one point there. I think that's us. I think that's our lives. We are all represented by that one drop, and then those circles are how we are supposed to live out our life's purpose and affect people as we pass through life. And then at some point, the reality is that, that water starts to still. And that's the end of life for us. And so I think that we're all here for a purpose. And DBDB, that reminder that I had that night was that it's not so much about me. It's about the people you're supposed to be affecting. Those circles. I think what I was doing, I was holding up other people's progress. And let's say this. I think God says to us, okay, look, Poncho, I want you to do this. And this, when you were talking about the time frame issue, I think God won't push us out of the way, but he will say, you know what? You've been in this space too long, Poncho. There's somebody that's waiting to occupy that space whose life purpose is to follow that continuum, but you're stuck in this space that you should have left, let's say 10 years ago. You're supposed to be over here. But sometimes we get comfortable in life and we stay in that one space. So meanwhile, you know how it is when you're on the highway, when there's a backup, you're looking like, you start looking out the window and like, okay, what's happening up here? Maybe it's an accident or a car that stalled out. But I think that's how our life is sometimes, is that people are looking at us to keep moving. And we occupy spaces, I think that we occupy these spaces longer than we're expected to.
That's interesting. I'm glad to hear your assessment of it. I think there's a part of what you said that I can really relate to. But I think the ripples in the water for me are determined by other things too. I believe that if your deeds are so substantial that those ripples can be even after you're gone.
Yes.
That's why I don't believe there's a time frame. Look at a B. Gaddy.
Yeah.
She's been gone for many years. She's been feeding people in Baltimore for years and passed away probably over a decade ago. But the efforts in her memory is still going and that energy is still going. So I do believe that part of those ripples is the legacy of what you've been able to do and achieve.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because when I say that drop of water dropping into that pond and creating the ripples, that's the earthly realm. So that's what we're supposed to do. Now, if we do that well enough, that's where the legacy comes in. That's where it affects the other generations. So that ripple that comes down, that's in the earthly realm. That's what we're supposed to do. Those are those ripples. And how we do life on earth will affect that legacy and what's left behind. And so to kind of circle back to what you were just saying about Dibby Dibby, I think what was happening is that I wasn't following through on my dreams. And I think when we don't do that, you're affecting the people behind you. And so we're here to do something. We're here for a purpose. And I think we're supposed to do that to affect people down the line. And so that's where I was having the struggle, is because I was like, you know what? I was supposed to fulfill these dreams and nothing's happened. And so subsequently, when I got myself together, and so the story is that restless night when I couldn't sleep, I was tossing and turning, sweating profusely. Just my spirit was so restless. And so I lay down and I said, all right, I'm going to try to get some sleep and see what happens. And surely as I laid down, Poncho, closed my eyes, I heard this whisper, Dibby Dibby. I said, no, what in the heck is that? And I always keep a writing pad next to the bed. And I wrote it down and I said, well, maybe at some point I'll figure that out. And I remember saying, God, what is this? And right after I said that, Poncho, it came out, dream it, believe it, do it, be it. And so I knew right then and there what my life's purpose was. And that is to help mentor, inspire, and help other people realize their dreams by me realizing my dreams. And so that's how the idea was birthed. The next day I had somebody make up a shirt. I start wearing the shirt around and people start buying into the message. And so that night for me was about something that was supposed to inspire me, but then that was part of my life's purpose, to get other people re-energized and re-engaged in their dreams. And so that's the Dibby Dibby story.
No, I think that's fantastic, man, because a lot of times our discussions generally work around our goal boards, what we have in place, how we plan on implementing, where we think we're falling short.
Yeah.
And all those things apply to the whole Dibby Dibby concept. I think that anybody that has aspirations to do something really should check out the Dibby Dibby platform so you can get some motivation. The one thing we don't and haven't been taught to do is be motivated.
Yeah.
And you either have that or you don't have that. And sometimes we need to acquire that. And you only can acquire that from people who have actually gone through the process. You can get it other ways, but why take the long journey when you can take another journey? It's nothing like speaking with people with like minds that can help. Like we have debates often on, I would call us accountability partners.
Yes.
So it's not really about the dream. It's not about how you're going to implement it. Now it's about, okay, where are you now? What are you doing now? Hey, what are you doing? What happened with so-and-so? Hey, what happened with so-and-so?
Right.
And I think you need that too.
You need that accountability.
Sometimes you can be in an environment of folks that, because you're leading, they're not even watching.
Yeah.
And if you don't have accountability partners, no matter where you think you are in it, you still run the place of fall into a complacent space with even your own dreams.
Yeah.
Dreams is more than a notion.
Well, yeah, and Poncho,
it's more than a notion.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. And I will say this as well, is that, when I created the T-shirts, what had happened is I started it became a business. I started thinking about it as a business. And once I started thinking about it as a business, Poncho, it died. It took a nosedive.
Exactly.
And I realized that at that point, it's not about the business. It's about purpose work. It's about helping others. And the moment that I realized that and corrected that, everything started to go back up.
Your promise to the Creator wasn't to build a business on dreams.
No, exactly. It was about helping
people realize their inner capacity and trusting their dreams and cultivating their dreams.
Well, and because
that was a valid point, though. You can't just brush over that. The fact that you said that, we go through certain things to legitimize what we're doing.
Yes.
Sometimes we will legitimize something by packaging it in the form of a business and products and XYZ, and it has nothing to do with what your original intent was.
Well,
I do that even with my artwork. So I have to be very use a level of intent with what I put on the market and how I put it on the market.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the packaging of it as a business was a way that I could justify, not that I needed to, but it was a way to justify what I was doing.
It also gave you the false belief that you were fulfilling the promise that you made to the universe.
Yes.
So we do certain things to feel like we're making progress, but it may have nothing to do with the work entailed.
Yes.
And so I just think that people, if they're truer to that vision I just told you about what I would be if I was 30, that's the thing. It's trust your visions, but really work with them with diligence and intent.
Can I share this? I wrote an article last week about it's not about the shirt. Because that's the lesson that came out about this. It wasn't about selling 1 million T-shirts. It was about helping people realize their dreams. And whether you sell 1 shirt or 1 million shirts, that's not it. It's about the dream. Now, I'll share this other thing with you. Now, listen to this. Typically, when I started the business, all right, I remember going to it was a neighborhood event. Had a lot of vendors there selling T-shirts and, all their wares. And I loaded up maybe about 300 shirts or so. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to get out here and I'm going to do it up. Poncho, I sold 1 shirt. All right. Now, look, you know how Baltimore summers are. It was well into the 90s. I'm sweating. The sun is beaming down off of my tent, creating more heat. And so I'm sitting in this tent, watching people go back and forth.
Past you.
Yes. But there was this one young lady, Poncho, who walked by. It had to be about 3 or 4 times. And she looked up and she was reading the banner, dibby dibby, dream it, believe it, do it, be it. So she walked up, she walked back, walked up, walked back. And I'm thinking, is there something wrong with the message, or is there something up there? And she walked by another time and she said, I'll take a shirt. And I said, okay. I said, I saw you walk by several times. She said, but I get it now. And so what that taught me, one, is it wasn't about selling 1,000 or how many shirts that I had. It wasn't about selling out of my inventory. It was about reaching someone.
It was also, but it was also about something that's very basic.
But it was also about that one.
Yes.
And knowing my tribe. So that event taught me that that message is for people who need to hear that message in a certain place or certain arena. That was not the forum.
But you're selling a concept too.
Yes.
That everybody can't relate to. So it becomes an education thing as well.
Yes.
Because I know if you had enough people on a TV screen or on your iPad sitting on your desk talking about Dibby Dibby and what it meant, you probably would have sold more shirts. But I'm going to tell you what I told my son when he decided he wanted to play football. Now, football, a lot of kids in this area of Pop Warner, they play football early. And my son had never played early. He was big for his age. He decided he wanted to play football, but he wanted to play football for the uniform.
Okay.
Just to feel like he was part of the whole thing. He had been accepted in. He got it on the field. He quickly learned, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
If he hit his first guy, towel.
Yeah.
But the next play, somebody hit him, towel.
Yeah.
And my son always wanted to quit. And I told him, look, it's not about the uniform.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to do your part.
Right.
While you're here for whatever term, you're part of a team, you're not an individual. And I look at this thing as being kind of the same thing. We want the decorations, we want the validation, but sometimes to find your purpose, you have to be servicing what you're here to do.
To do, yes.
And let the other stuff fall where it's supposed to.
And you know, and I'm comfortable, like I mentioned in the article, I'm comfortable if one shirt inspires somebody who will then inspire somebody else.
But
and
like
again, it's not the shirt, it's the message.
But like you told me earlier, when you were doing this in a stage format, when you had 6 guests speaking,
yes,
you don't know how many people left the stadium with that message, with the 6 different people that presented whatever area they were presenting in.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't get real inventory on whether people are getting the message. For me, the message is the most important thing, because once people get that, the shirt's going to go anyway.
Well,
That's just part of it.
And
I want people to know that this is the Dream Master. He's the guy you can come to that can really motivate you with whatever ideas you have that you can manifest.
And can I say this? While people say, I'm good at motivating, but I'm really interested in inspiring and lighting that fire that you already have. Because sometimes I look at motivation that, that can come and go.
Yes.
But I think when you're inspired, it comes from this reservoir of all of these feelings and contacts, relationships, your faith. All of these things come from that reservoir that helps you move towards your dream. Motivation is kind of like it's up and down, but when it's inspired, you may have your bad days, but it's still there. You're not dependent on motivation. And so,
underneath all of this dream and its purpose.
Yes.
The bottom line is that if you got to have a purpose with whatever you're doing. I ask grown adults, what is your purpose? And they still look at me with their face frowned up, like they haven't figured it out yet. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
What kind of world are we living in? That by the time you're 30, 40, or 50, or 60, that you don't know what your purpose is.
Well, it's interesting you talk about purpose, because I think your purpose takes on different formats as you grow older. So I know my purpose has always been in communicating to help uplift others. And so throughout the years, that fulfilling my purpose came in different formats. Like whether I was a bank manager when I was at one time, it was helping people with their finances. When I was a marketing director, it was helping people with marketing. And so all of those career choices that I made was an expression of that purpose. So the way that you execute that purpose will change over the years. But I think we all know deep down inside what we are here to do with our lives.
Exactly. Because I just listened to how you just outlined that, or you found that through the different careers that you've had. And me being an artist since I was 14, I'm talking about a full-time artist.
Yeah.
And starting my first business at 17. My purpose was recognized then, and it was a simple purpose to continue to enlighten people with the imagery that I create. And so while you say it changes, it does change, but there are other ways to achieve it too, because I have been very true to doing just that. And I've gotten out of the way of all the white noise that gets in the middle of what that is. And I simply create. I create, share, share some more, create, share, create, and multiply what I'm doing with using the same thing that I found to be my purpose. So people find that purpose a couple of different ways, but you still have to be very disciplined and use a certain amount of intent to carry those things through.
Well, and I'll say this, and you recognize that you are a creator. So that's what you're here for. That's your purpose. And again, how you execute that will take different forms throughout your life. But when you know who you are at your core, that's when all these other opportunities will open up to you, because now you're working in your purpose, and that's...
But that's why this conversation is interesting, because like you just drew a line by saying I create, and that we all create. We have to create those destinies. We have to create these ideas. We have to filter what those messages are to manifest in what your purpose is. That's creativity.
Yes.
And you're going to need creativity at every juncture of being able to implement what that thing is. I think the misconception of who are artists and who's creative, I think everybody has the capacity to be creative. And I think that the creative energy is involved in anything you're trying to promote, because you got to sit down and make something from nothing.
Yes.
Or something from a little information. And we all do it every day, you know. So I like to demystify it, because if you just categorize me as an artist and say, okay, he's got talent, and that's what's driving this direction, then you feel like you're not a part of what we're saying. I'm saying actually that you are a part of what we're saying. The stuff that we're both saying is from two different perspectives of 120 years of experience. Sounds funny.
When you put it that way.
You see his eyes frown up like, well, 120. Where is he coming
I had to
from?
do the math for a moment. I was like, where's 120? And then I said, okay, I'm 60.
Plus 60 is 120. But to make a long story short, man, I wish you, man, I congratulate you on what you've been trying to do. Continue doing it. Thank you for including me. And hopefully we can have inspired some people to look at that idea, blow it off,
yes,
and bring it to fruition.
And it's, yeah, again, you know, dusting off those deferred dreams and really going after them. And think about this as well, is that, you know, when we fulfill our dreams, again, we're affecting other people's lives. I think one of the things that I'm really intent on now is I think we should live our obituary. I think we should live our lives in such a way that if there's no obituaries printed at your service, you're good. People know how you live. They know your story, and so
that's one of my graphic instructions when I'm teaching and mentoring artists. Yeah. I make them write their obituary.
Yeah.
It's a good place to start. If you want an exercise before you figure out what you want to do, go in your room, be as private as you need to, be as honest as you need to, and write your obituary. And somewhere in there is going to be what you lived for.
Yes, exactly. So I say, it's all about dibby. Dream it, believe it, do it, be it.
And I'm living it.
Amen. Dibby.
Dreams are at the beginning of all of this stuff. Hey, y'all, we're not the only ones that have these manifestations in our brain. It's given to you for a reason, to give you more than one direction. Please avoid complacency. Please avoid distraction and white noise.
Yeah.
You have a purpose.
Indeed. Dibby. Wow. Well said, my friend. This is Larry Poncho Brown. Please check him out at
LarryPonchoBrown.net, theartofponcho.com. I am on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel with plenty of videos of me doing different things. I'm on Instagram, Art of Poncho and Larry Poncho Brown. And I'm on Facebook, The Art of Poncho and Larry Poncho Brown. I'm on Twitter, The Art of Poncho. I'm on everything.
You can find him.
And you folks that act like you can't do stuff, if a 60-year-old man can learn how to do these things, so can you. I'm actually doing better than my son with social networking.
Yeah.
It's all about the desire.
Okay.
And so, hey, man, let's just keep moving and keep birthing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, everybody, Larry Poncho Brown. I am Robert Ginyard, and it's all about dibby. Dream it, believe it, do it, be it. May all your dreams come true with a little bit of work, faith, and grind. Have a good day, everybody.
Peace.